Duty, honor, country. General Douglas MacArthur, 1962, at West Point, speaking to new cadets who were graduating at that time. He said those three hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, and what you will be. They are your rallying points to build courage when courage seems to fail, to regain faith when there seems to be little cause for faith, and to create hope when hope becomes forlorn. I actually heard those words for the first time when I was watching a trailer to the video game Civilization 5. I didn't know who said those words, but they inspired me, and I wanted to know more. At that time, I felt very low in life. I felt completely hopeless and devoid of courage, faith, and hope. As I considered this statement, I noticed something quite peculiar. Mr. MacArthur said to build courage. He didn't say to feel courageous. He said regain faith. He didn't say you're just naturally going to have it. And he said to create hope when hope becomes forlorn. To create it. Again, not to inherit it. Not to feel a sense of hope, but to create hope. You see, these were all action words. They were things you didn't have to feel in order to be. And there was a moment when I realized that life is filled with moments when you do not feel courageous. And yet, by doing your duty, you can build courage. Despite the fact that it seems to fail. You can regain faith when you don't feel a sense of divine light shining through the clouds. As a matter of fact, that is what faith is. It is a thing that we regain when we don't feel it. It's a daily act of renewal to regain it. And when we feel hopeless, we can create hope by reflecting light into the lives of others. That's what hope really is. It's not a feeling of hopefulness that life is going our way. It is the act of being a beacon of hope to show others that there is possibility and goodness in the world. When I realized that, I did not fully learn how to apply those lessons at that time. But I did experience the beginning of a turning point, and I never went back to the emotional lows that I had experienced before that time. I would go on to make mistakes in life. I would go on to face many circumstances which were not things that I relish to look back on. My life did not become perfect. And I did not become perfect. I continued to err in my judgment. I continued to have many moments which were trying. And I continued to fail, to make wrong turns when I either didn't know any better or I just didn't really do what I knew I ought to do. This wasn't about a magic bullet that brought maturity and polish and grace into my life. But it was important because it ended the time in my life when I got depressed about things. Yes, there have since been many times when I was disappointed, angry, despondent, or overcome with a bad attitude. But that feeling of crushing emptiness, that feeling that life just isn't worth it, that things are so dark and the chasm so deep that there is no way to get out. Those feelings never returned. Because I understood that there would be times when I didn't feel courageous, perhaps most of the time. But I could still do my duty and move on anyway. And there would be many times when I didn't have any sense of faith that things would work out. But I could still demonstrate faithfulness through it all. And there would be many times when I would not feel a sense of hope in my life. And that's okay too. Because no matter who you are, whether you have 5 decades ahead of you, or you have 5 weeks ahead of you, you can make a difference in the world by bringing people hope. And so, in closing, I think that there's a lot of messages that are floating around coming from people who want to sell a magic solution. To say if you do this or you believe this or you think a certain way, you're going to have this great life. In my experience, that's like snake oil selling. It just doesn't work. Because when things get low and things get hard and you have to face the cruelty of the world, and you have to face the fact that you yourself have so many flaws, optimistic pep talks just don't really cut it. But you can be okay without feeling okay. And once you know that, it's kind of like having an instrument panel in an airplane and you fly into a cloud bank and you fly through a storm. You can't see out the window. You have turbulence. And you also have something that you never had when you were flying visual out the window. You have the knowledge that all the pieces don't have to fit together perfectly. And you don't have to feel okay all the time. To know intellectually in your mind that everything happens for a reason. And so, my challenge to you, my challenge to myself, is to find peace in the middle of the storm by remembering that things don't have to be okay. It's all right to have pain. It's all right to be imperfect. It's all right to be human. And you don't have to feel good to avoid despair. Not a perfect solution. But then again, life isn't perfect. And it is a good place to start. Thank you for watching.